lot of people get confused on how to actually make a healthy meal. We're told all the time, eat healthy, but when it comes down to actually putting the meal together, I find a lot of people get confused and they're not sure if they're doing it right. And healthy is that kind of thing that is defined differently by different people, but I do believe there are certain things that you can put on your plate to make sure that it is nutritionally adequate for you. The key thing here is that I'm going to provide you with the blueprint on how to design a nutritious meal, but it's your job to fill in the rest of the details to get the final result. This way, you're actually eating meals that you find delicious, it works with your budget, it works with your preferences, and it's not me just telling you to have foods that I think are tasty and you don't. And when you break it down, each component that I will talk about can be applied to breakfast, lunch, dinner, and even snacks. And when you follow this guideline, it can make sure that you're getting the right nutrients. Before we get started, my name is Katie. I'm a registered dietitian and certified personal trainer, and my goal is to help you achieve health and wellness in an easy and affordable way. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. Your support helps me reach more people like you. So let's get started. The first thing you should focus on when designing a healthy meal is getting enough protein. Ideally, most meals should have about 20 to 40 grams of protein. This depends on your goals as well as your size, but that's a good general range to fit into. Obviously, the larger you are and the more muscle you have or you want to build, you're going to want to eat closer to 40 grams per meal. And if that's not a goal for you or you're a lot smaller in size, then you can go on the lower end. Now, I did do an entire video on how to calculate your protein needs, so I'll leave that in the description box below so you can calculate what's right for you. The reason why I want you to get enough protein at your meals is for two main reasons. The first one is that it is a main macronutrient, so it provides calories and it helps support a variety of your body's functions. The second thing is that protein actually takes a lot longer to break down, and this can actually help you stay full a lot longer, so it can help you prevent overeating. So in just a second, I'm going to provide a list of different protein sources, their portion sizes, and the amount of protein that it provides. I try to give both animal and plant options so that you have variety. So some examples of high protein foods would be beef, chicken, or pork. They tend to have higher amounts of proteins, so about 23 to 25 grams of protein. Fish is also an awesome source of protein, and I'll talk about later, it's also a great source of healthy fats, but about 85 grams or 3 ounces is about 19 to 24 grams of protein. Eggs are an awesome source of protein as well, so for 2 large eggs, you get about 12 grams of protein. About half a cup of tofu gives you 10 grams of protein. I love Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is really high in protein as well. So about a third of a cup is about 13 to 16 grams of protein, depending on the brand. Cottage cheese, I know not everyone loves it. I like cottage cheese, but about 1 cup gives you a whopping 25 grams of protein. So a really awesome source of protein if you like it. Kidney beans are also awesome. A quarter cup gives you 11 grams of protein. Chickpeas are another awesome source. Tempeh is also made from tofu, and about a half a cup gives you 15 grams of protein. And lentils, which are also awesome to add to a variety of dishes. Half a cup cooked gives you about 9 grams of protein. So as you can see, there are a lot of really good sources of protein that you can add to different meals. And if something you like to have isn't listed, you can easily just Google the protein content and you'll find out what it is. But really at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter the protein source necessarily. I just want to make sure that you're getting enough protein on each meal. Now, I did want to just mention that there are some foods that are decent protein sources, but they are really, really high in calories. So if you are trying to watch your calories, that is something to keep in mind. One really good example, a lot of people talk about is peanut butter. I absolutely love peanut butter. I have it every single day, but I wouldn't say it's the best protein source. Put this into perspective, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter provide 200 calories and about 8 grams of protein. So you're having a lot of calories for not that much protein. While if you were to have a 3 ounce or 85 gram piece of chicken, this provides upwards of 25 grams of protein per serving and only around 140 calories. So that is just something to keep in mind, totally up to you, but just keep that in the back of your head when you're picking protein sources. The second thing I would recommend making sure you get in your meals is a healthy fat. Fat is actually so important for us. We are not in the 90s anymore. Fat is good and here to stay. Now, fat plays a variety of different roles in our body. It's really important for absorbing fat-soluble vitamins, so vitamins A, D, E, and K. It also helps support our organs, so for example, our brain. Fat provides a lot of energy for our cells. When we actually store fat on our body, this is actually intended to protect our organs, so a little bit of fat is good. Fat is really important for healthy eyes as well as healthy skin. And these are just a few examples. The other thing is that fat also takes a while to break down, so it can actually help improve fullness as well. The one thing to keep in mind is that fat is more calorically dense compared to protein and carbohydrates. So protein and carbohydrates provide 4 calories per gram, while fat provides 9 calories per gram. So you're actually getting a lot of energy in a smaller portion. So a little fat actually goes a long way, and you don't need really large portion sizes. sizes. Now, there is a lot of debate on if saturated fats are good or bad for us, and context does matter, and that could be a whole video on itself. What we do know is that unsaturated fats are beneficial for us, so it is a good idea to make sure you're getting in a lot of unsaturated fats. So some foods that contain unsaturated fats include fish, which is really awesome source of healthy fats, especially fatty fish such as salmon, trout, anchovies, herring, mackerel, just to name a few. Olives and olive oil are awesome sources. Avocado and avocado oil. Various nuts and seeds, so for example, almonds, peanuts, cashews, walnuts, Brazil nuts, sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, flaxseed. Eggs are actually also a good source of unsaturated fat. Interestingly, 2/3 of the fat found in eggs are actually unsaturated. And some plant milks also have a little bit of unsaturated fats, such as soy and almond milk. Now, saturated fats, when consumed in excess, have been associated with poor health. However, there is a lot of debate on the source. It does seem that saturated fat from dairy products does not seem to have the same negative effect as saturated fat from, for example, animal meats would. So I would say getting some saturated fat from dairy products, if you do consume dairy, isn't a horrible thing and might be a good idea. So some examples of dairy products that contain saturated fats include full-fat Greek, Icelandic, or regular yogurt. Ideally, I would make sure that this is sugar-free or low in sugar. Drinking cow's milk if that is suitable for you. Cottage cheese, hard cheeses, so for example, marble, cheddar, and Swiss. You can also get a little bit of fat from meat and poultry. However, if you're going to consume these, I would opt for more minimally processed options. Highly processed meats are associated with colorectal cancer, and we really don't want that, obviously. So making sure that you're having minimally processed meats is the best idea. Like I mentioned though, a little goes a long way, so you don't need a massive portion size of fats. So for example, drizzling a little olive oil on your salad is a good idea, having a little bit of avocado, a small handful of nuts. These are good ideas and you don't do it in excess. The third thing I would look for in a healthy meal is to make sure that you're getting fiber and complex carbohydrates. If you want to be full after a meal and you want to support your gut, make sure that you're getting in fiber. Unfortunately, around only 5% of people in the United States, and I would say it's probably very similar for Canada, actually get enough fiber in their diet. Fortunately, there are a lot of ways to get it in. Complex carbohydrates are also important, and complex carbohydrates can be fiber, but they're not always. Essentially, a complex carbohydrate is just a carbohydrate that is really long in length, so it's going to take a lot longer to break down than a simple sugar would be. A simple carbohydrate can be a single carbohydrate molecule or two put together. Because they're so small, our body can either break the two apart or just take the one and absorb it really fast. So this causes a really big up and down in our blood sugar levels. But when we have a bunch of carbohydrate units clinked together, it takes a while to separate them, so it actually has a slower effect on our blood sugar levels. Examples of things that would be high in simple sugars would be soda or pop, candy, desserts, things like that. So here are some examples of foods that are high in fiber and complex carbohydrates. So non-starchy vegetables. Almost all non-starchy vegetables are great sources of fiber, but some examples include cabbage, bok choy, broccoli, carrots, tomatoes, mushrooms, Brussels sprouts, celery, asparagus, just to name a few. Fruits are also an awesome source of fiber, especially if they have their skins. So think raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, mangoes, guava, apples, banana, pineapple, a lot of different fruits. Beans and peas are also an awesome idea, especially if you're trying to get in complex carbohydrates and fiber. Some examples include kidney beans, split peas, chickpeas, black beans, edamame, just to name a few. Lentils are also an awesome option. Nuts actually do have quite a bit of fiber as well. So do seeds, so sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds. One really good idea if you're really trying to get in fiber is to have more oats or bran in your diet, also other whole grains. Popcorn is actually a whole grain as well, especially if you don't add any extra butter, or maybe a little bit of butter just to live a little, but just a little bit of butter and a little bit of flavorings. And this is a really awesome way to get in some fiber. Potatoes also are a good idea, especially with the skin on, and sweet potatoes. So at each meal, I highly recommend that you try to get 1 to 2 non-starchy vegetables on your plate. And all non-starchy means is that they're not high in starches. So they tend to be a lot lighter and less dense, and they're not as high in calories. So you get a lot of fiber without the extra calories. Starchy vegetables are also an awesome idea, but we do just want to watch our portion sizes a little bit. But some examples include potatoes, sweet potato, taro, yams, lentils, chickpeas, parsnip, etc. And so you would probably want to, on your plate, include 1 starchy carbohydrate, so for example potatoes or sweet potato, and a grain, so for example rice, noodles, pasta, bread, etc. Like I mentioned, it's ideal to actually make your non-starchy vegetables the largest portion. It's going to fill you up. It's a great source of fiber and nutrients. And again, it doesn't have a ton of calories. So just make sure that you're getting in some vegetables and some good carbohydrates and you're set. If it's breakfast, you might want to have something different. So you could have some fruit, you could have some whole grain bread, you could have oats. These are other carbohydrate sources that might be more suitable for breakfast. If you want to go another route, you could have pan-fried potatoes with some vegetables. You could have a fruit smoothie and then add in some chia seed or flaxseed. There's a lot of options out there. The fourth thing to consider and to make sure that you're getting on a healthy plate is flavor. We all know that flavor goes a long way, and if you actually want to enjoy the meals you're having, especially if you're trying to make healthier choices, adding flavor can go a long way. And what flavor you're going to add really depends on what meal you're making. So there are so many options out there. Herbs and spices are always awesome to add to your meals. They're essentially 0 calories, but add a ton of flavor. They also provide unique nutrients. So for example, turmeric actually contains a compound known as curcumin, which has been found to be beneficial for our health. Basil is another awesome example. It contains a lot of different antioxidants and vitamins. So it contains vitamin K, calcium, and magnesium, just to name a few. And many cultures use different spices in their cooking, and this helps to not only enhance the flavor, but also the nutritional profile of the meal. So it's a really awesome idea, if you haven't experimented yet, to start experimenting with different spices and see how much better your meals taste. One thing I will say is just to keep in mind that especially pre-made dressings or pre-made sauces, these tend to be really high in calories, sugar, and salt, which we do want to make sure we're not getting too much of. Okay, so now that you know the 4 components of a healthy meal, let's put it together and give some examples. And by no means is this an exclusive list. You can make any type of meal, just try to focus on these 4 attributes and it'll be an awesome meal. But here are a few examples. You can make a stir fry, you could have chicken or beef, sauteed onions, garlic, carrots, red peppers, and bok choy. You could also put it on a bed of rice if you want to. You can make a salad with a cabbage base, with carrots, tomatoes, cucumber, avocado, chickpeas, and then top it with some feta cheese and olive oil. You can make a homemade burger using lean ground beef, add some tomato, lettuce, cheese, and onion, and then you could serve it with a light coleslaw or a salad on the side. You can make an omelet with sauteed vegetables and cheese. If you want to make a one-pot dish, you can make a one-pot chicken and rice dish and then just add a variety of different vegetables to it. I highly recommend getting creative with soups. First of all, it's a really budget-friendly way to make a large meal, but it also is highly nutritious. If you want to have a fun night, you could have chicken wings with a side of carrots, cherry tomatoes, and celery. You could have chicken or tofu chow mein. You can make spaghetti with meatballs served with a salad on the side. You can make quesadillas with either black beans or shredded meat and then add some avocado, cilantro, onions, red pepper, and cheese. If you want to make fish, you could have some baked salmon with lemon and a side of potatoes and asparagus. If you want to keep things simple and just want to have some baked chicken, you could make it in a pan with vegetables such as Brussels sprouts, cherry tomatoes, asparagus, sweet potatoes. You can make chicken fajitas with grilled vegetables. You can make a grain bowl and add some tuna or chicken, sweet potato, edamame, purple cabbage, and then add a light dressing. You can make fresh rolls with shrimp. Now, if you do want some ideas for breakfast, here are some as well. You could have 2 fried eggs, tomato slices, and some toast. You can make a fruit smoothie with milk, Greek yogurt, or a protein powder, and then add in some spinach and maybe some flaxseed. You could have Greek yogurt or cottage cheese with berries. You can make a breakfast sandwich with whole grain English muffins, egg, avocado, tomato, and a slice of turkey or ham if you want to. You could have oatmeal, or you could have congee with fresh fruit. Honestly, the options are endless and you can really get creative and make so many different healthy meals. Really, the goal is to make sure that you're getting adequate protein, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates and fiber into your diet, and then add a little flavor so you actually enjoy it. If your normal meals don't normally contain these components, maybe sit down and try to think of ways on how you could add it in. You could also aim to just have some of these extra things on the side if you don't want to add it directly to the dish, or you could just make sure that your other meals in the day have extra of these components. So for example, if maybe your breakfast doesn't have enough protein, make sure you do get enough at your other meals. I know it can be really intimidating to try to make healthy meals, but if you focus on these 4 components, it can make designing a healthy meal a lot easier for you. And that's it for this video. I hope it was helpful for you. Let me know in the comments some of your favorite healthy meals and ways that you add in extra nutrition throughout the day. And I'll see you in the next video.